Long ago, the Sith wielded dominion over the very fabric of reality. Their powers transcended what most would deem conceivable, bending entire worlds to their will and defying even the grasp of death itself. Instantaneous teleportation, dark restoration, essence transference. These were but a handful of the formidable abilities that placed the ancient lords of the dark side upon an untouchable pedestal of might. Yet, something shifted. Something vital was lost. Why is it that today's Sith no longer command such ancestral feats? How did an order of such tremendous might allow these secrets to slip through its fingers? The answer lies in a name whispered with quiet disgrace throughout Sith history: Darth Gravid. He was not merely a heretic to their creed, but the architect of a devastating collapse, one that plunged centuries of arcane knowledge into oblivion. His tale serves as a chilling cautionary account of what transpires when one attempts to pervert that which is already perilous. Today, we delve into this bleak chapter, to understand how a single man managed to irreversibly reshape the fate of the Sith, and perhaps the galaxy itself. In its earliest incarnations, the Sith Order reigned supreme through mastery of the dark side, manipulating the very threads of existence to their will. Their abilities stretched far beyond the realms of what any sane mind would consider plausible. These powers did not simply enhance physical or mental prowess, they allowed their wielders to tamper with the very essence of life and reality. Among the most staggering feats were the ability to traverse space instantly by distorting the continuum, dark healing, a grisly technique that mended grievous wounds via the sacrifice of others, and essence transference, an arcane process that enabled Sith Lords to preserve their consciousness beyond death by inhabiting new vessels, achieving a twisted form of immortality. Beyond these, some rituals held the power to corrupt entire planets, immersing them in the dark side and transforming them into bastions of pure shadow. Others mastered the summoning of malevolent specters or conjured phantasmal projections capable of influencing the physical world. These abilities elevated the ancient Sith to near-mythic status, venerated by some, dreaded by all. But this extraordinary legacy began to unravel with the advent of the Rule of Two, a doctrine conceived by Darth Bane after ages of internecine strife within the Sith. Bane believed that true strength could only be safeguarded by extinguishing internal rivalry. Hence, he decreed that no more than two Sith should exist at any time, a master to embody power, and an apprentice to covet it. This structure was crafted with the intent of ensuring that each successive generation of Sith would surpass the last, preventing internal betrayal and safeguarding the arcane knowledge of old. However, the Rule of Two harbored a fatal flaw. By concentrating the entire legacy of the Sith within the hands of merely two individuals, it only took one to be unworthy, or worse, unhinged, for centuries of accumulated wisdom to vanish without a trace. Tragically, this very weakness came to fruition during the era of Darth Gravid. His deluded ambition to reconcile the doctrines of both Jedi and Sith resulted in the catastrophic obliteration of a vast portion of the Order's ancient heritage. From that moment forth, the modern Sith found themselves bereft of many of the very powers that once defined them, their potential curtailed, and their role within the galaxy forever diminished. Once upon a time, the Sith wielded command over the cosmos through feats that defied logic and natural law. They were not merely formidable warriors, but true sovereigns of the dark side of the Force. Amongst their repertoire were abilities that permitted instantaneous traversal through space, healing through sacrificial rites, and even the summoning and dominion of spectral entities. These skills elevated them to near-mythical stature, beings who could bend entire worlds to their will. Yet, with the passage of ages, these formidable talents began to fade into legend. The underlying cause lies within the philosophy known as the Rule of Two, a doctrine conceived by Darth Bane. His belief was that internal strife would be eliminated if the Sith adhered to a dyad, one master to embody power, and one apprentice to covet it. A means, he thought, to preserve the Sith lineage without it collapsing under the weight of its own ambitions. Nevertheless, this approach bore an inherent peril. The totality of their arcane knowledge, encompassing rituals, secrets, and techniques passed down across generations, resided with only two individuals at any given time. Should one falter, or succumb to madness, everything could be undone. And so it was. A Sith Lord by the name of Darth Gravid, consumed by a misguided longing to merge Jedi virtue with Sith might, descended into madness. Convinced that only by obliterating the existing framework could progress be achieved, he set about destroying invaluable relics and codices of Sith wisdom. The ramifications were profound. Abilities once thought timeless, such as dark side healing and instantaneous travel, were lost to obscurity. The Sith legacy became fractured, and those who followed were condemned to tread a path forever lacking in the splendor and strength once possessed. What had seemed a masterstroke of strategy revealed itself to be a blueprint for devastation. Darth Gravid was not merely another link in the Sith chain. He was an anomaly, and not in any commendable sense. While most Sith devoted their existence to the relentless pursuit of might, Gravid strayed from that ruthless tradition. In his studies, he developed an unsettling fixation on the ways of the Jedi, yes, the very same Jedi whom the Sith regarded as mortal enemies. Gravid delved obsessively into the teachings of the Jedi Order, attempting to decipher their practices and guiding principles. Yet, his curiosity was not born of reverence or admiration. Rather, he sought to extract something of worth, to steal their secrets. In Gravid's mind, the fusion of Jedi discipline with Sith doctrine appeared to be the key to attaining an even greater mastery over the Force. Tragically, he failed to grasp the peril he was courting. As he attempted to reconcile two diametrically opposed ideologies, Gravid's mind began to unravel. The Jedi espoused compassion and selflessness, the Sith embraced dominance and unbridled ambition. Such conflicting tenets tore at his psyche. He was not in pursuit of harmony, he was attempting to bend the light to serve the dark. In doing so, he provoked a response from the very essence of the dark side, rejection. His descent into madness reached its nadir when he resolved that the only path forward was to obliterate all that had come before. Gravid sealed himself within his fortress on Jaguada, shielding it with powerful wards, and commenced a campaign of devastation. Holocrons, ancient scrolls, priceless manuscripts, all were reduced to ashes. He imagined he was paving the way for rebirth. In truth, he was condemning the Sith to centuries of darkness and decay. This act did not merely erase techniques from memory, it scarred the Sith Order irreparably. Gravid's madness stood as a grim reminder that, even amidst the dark side, the insatiable hunger for power may well become the instrument of one's undoing. His choice to annihilate the ancestral records was more than mere folly, it became the turning point that sealed the fate of the Sith forever. He convinced himself that by erasing the past, he could forge something new, something mightier. Yet this notion was fatally flawed. In purging centuries of accrued wisdom, he did not usher in progress, he unleashed ignorance upon his own kind. Amongst the abilities lost were powers of astonishing potency. There once existed methods for bending space itself, crafting instantaneous corridors between distant points. These techniques were deployed both for tactical advantage in battle and for narrow escapes from otherwise fatal engagements. Another practice involved the healing of grievous wounds through dark rituals, either by drawing upon sacrificial offerings or manipulating the life force directly. Though perilous and grotesque, it was undeniably effective and widely embraced by ancient Sith. There were also arcane secrets tied to spectral dominion. Some Sith Lords mastered the art of binding spirits of the departed, draining their essence and converting them into weapons of war. Others conjured phantasmal projections, obedient apparitions that executed their master's will with unwavering loyalty. These abilities did not merely enhance individual strength, they empowered entire armies, synchronizing battalions through a single, unified will. Yet, perhaps the greatest loss was the destruction of the technique known as essence transfer, a dark art that allowed a Sith to indefinitely prolong their existence by relocating their consciousness into another vessel. This forbidden knowledge would not be rediscovered for generations, and even then, only through unexpected means such as Jedi holocrons. The legacy annihilated by Gravid left behind chasms that could never be wholly bridged, forcing modern Sith to resort to makeshift solutions and arcane experimentation. His heresy heralded an age of decline, wherein ancient power slipped ever further from reach, veiled in the shadows of forgotten lore. The tale of Darth Gravid is more than a cautionary account of madness, it is a profound revelation about the Sith Order itself. Though they prided themselves on their relentless pursuit of power, that very obsession often brought about their undoing. Gravid was not merely an anomaly, he was a clear manifestation of the danger inherent in unchecked ambition. In attempting to reconcile two antithetical philosophies, he sought to create something transcendent. Yet instead of ushering in a new era, he extinguished a legacy he was entrusted to preserve. What renders this tragedy even more ironic is the fact that the Sith were long masters of fear and betrayal, weaponizing such forces to cement their dominion. The rule of two was conceived precisely to prevent internal strife from weakening their might. However, that very rule harbored a fatal flaw: the entire lineage of dark knowledge could be undone by the failure of a single individual. Gravid did not merely neglect the teachings of old, he dismissed them as obsolete, as if the Order could begin anew without consequence. That arrogance proved ruinous, not only for him, but for the Sith as a whole. Though modern Sith remained formidable, they never fully reclaimed the heights of their predecessors. Stripped of ancient techniques, they were cast into an endless pursuit, scouring alien civilizations, experimenting with crude substitutes, even plundering Jedi archives, all in vain attempts to reconstruct what had once been common practice. This cycle of loss and fragmented rediscovery speaks volumes. Despite all their might, the Sith remain shackled to the ghosts of their own misjudgments. The history of the Sith is steeped in a cruel paradox: the same boundless hunger that elevated them to supreme power also ensured their downfall. Darth Gravid, in his misguided obsession to unite light and shadow, did not forge a greater path, he entombed his order in darkness. Believing he was laying the foundations of a new era, he instead consigned the Sith to centuries of ignorance, wandering through the ruins of their former glory. Ironically, this chain of events is not an exception, but rather a repetition of a pattern long woven into the Sith's history. From civil wars to catastrophic choices like Gravid's, the followers of the dark side have always been their own greatest adversaries. While the Jedi drew strength from unity and collective wisdom, the Sith gambled everything on a fragile structure, reliant upon just two individuals. And when one faltered, the entire Order bore the weight of their failure. Even so, the modern Sith demonstrated resilience. They adapted, searched for alternatives, and in some rare instances, managed to reclaim fragments of what had been lost. Yet one truth remains: the level of absolute mastery once wielded by their ancestors has remained forever out of reach. Which begs the question, was the true limitation of the Sith ever external? Or have they always carried within themselves the seeds of their own undoing? In the end, the tale of the Sith stands as a warning. The desire for absolute control, when taken to its furthest extreme, can rot even the most powerful from within. And while their legends continue to mesmerize, the true mystery endures: will anyone ever overcome the sins of the past, or are these scars destined to remain forever etched into the very fabric of the dark side? If you enjoyed this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more stories shrouded in shadow and myth.